For more on this, we're joined now by retired NYPD inspector and attorney Paul Mauro. Paul, you did an amazing job last night on our air with our friend Jesse Waters, sort of in real time reacting to the video as it was released last night on Waters Primetime. Now you've had some time to reflect. What are your thoughts this morning?
Well, I think very clearly the tactics were way over the top. Everybody is in agreement upon that. I think we're in the stage now where we have to start to assess the reaction. And one of the things I think is worth bringing up is that we have to look larger than just the 5 officers who've been fired and charged. And I think you have to go all the way to the top. At this point, you have to start to say, is there something intrinsic to the Memphis PD? And that's not an aspersion on the men and women of Memphis PD that are out there every day. I'm talking more bureaucratically, because police departments generally take on the persona and atmospherics of their overhead, right up to the top of the chain. And at this point, the fact that the police chief seems to be triangulating against these 5 officers without ever taking any responsibility by saying, look, the buck stops with me. We have to do an assessment here. We have to look at the supervision. We have to look at our training. I'm not hearing that. And I think many of us in the police world would like to hear something more than I'm very upset from the very top of the food chain down there in the Memphis PD.
That's a very interesting point you're making, Paul. And of course, we have heard that it was obviously a good move on behalf of authorities there, from Chief Davis to Mayor Strickland and the DA, trying to get out there. These officers were charged, fired and charged way earlier in previous cases, as we saw was the case in, say, Ferguson or Baltimore or Minneapolis. But specifically to your point about going larger than these 5 officers, is it your view then that this wasn't just 5 rogue officers? This is perhaps larger, more pattern or policy based?
I mean, it's possible, and I'll tell you why I sort of come to that is the fact that there are 5 of them together, right? This is a specialized unit, Scorpion unit. Generally, these specialized units are very heavily supervised because it's recognized in police practice that they're sort of the point of the spear. NYPD has had units like this as well and still does, and they're very heavily supervised. So 5 of them together, I don't know if that was their practice, but that's a lot of cops in one place for a specialized unit without a sergeant being nearby. It takes a while, from what I see, for any supervision to arrive. And, you have to say that it does seem like they felt very free to react the way they did. And you have to begin to say to yourself, has this happened in the past? Why did it go the way they went? I think you do have to look a little bit larger.
They clearly had little regard for knowing they were on camera, multiple cameras there, in the number of things that they crossed the line on in the video we see. I want to ask you, though, before I run out of time, so where does this go? We know the DOJ is launching an investigation. Where are we headed?
Yeah, so unusually, DOJ now has announced looks like they're announcing a parallel investigation that is going to run contemporaneous here with the investigation going on at the state level. I view that as a complication at this point. Generally, the DOJ investigations come along as a follow-on. And the problem with that is that what the DOJ investigations generally default to is a federal monitorship, which means that a law firm is put in charge of keeping an eye on the police department and reforming it. And those monitorships never go away. And the law firm gets rich. There's nothing like municipal money. Those checks come in regularly. They'll charge $500, $600, $700 an hour, even after their job is kind of done. I mean, I'm not pointing to anybody specifically, but I just know how this goes. And I'm not sure at this point, so early in the game, it's necessarily helpful for DOJ to be poking at this, particularly the Civil Rights Division. They have an investigation going on. These guys are criminally charged. Let it play out.
Let it play out. We shall see where it goes. Paul Mauro, thank you for your insight and joining us today.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.